By the way, before obviously, like, at the moment we've made it fairly like meta contextual and about the comment. One thing I'll do is first of all I'll read out Doublelift's for a parody of the tweet because again, look, he doesn't always land, but this is pretty fucking good. This was some quality material. I'd give this a solid 4 out of 5 stars. Basically, you remember the tweet that was on the screen that was shown, right? Doublelift did a parody tweet and he just said the narrative has gotten out of hand. No one on the team was against Reggie's house selling. In fact, when he first told us after 0-4, we all agreed. Because obviously Reginald did that tweet where he said he'd never let the team become like CLG. Now he'd sell his car and his house if that happened, right? Then he says, no player played a part in deciding his asking price. And it was not anything gameplay related. And then here's the real like cherry on the cake. He goes, I wish my only job is to lose games. That slide is, listen, if it was all about just the last slide double, if you nailed the landing of it. That was very legit. I like that. That was pretty good.
By the way, Thorin, can we talk about how
they just lose every fucking game? Don't they? Give me a break. It's so dark, mate. Come on.
Can we talk about? I want your take on this, Thorin. So pick one of these two options. Is TSM so incompetently run that they took the MVP of last split and then made the team so bad that they have now nearly lost every single game? Or is the MVP test in LCS eye test completely fucking busted and we keep getting Svenskeren, who's immediately benched for Blabber, or Spica, who is now on a last place team? Like, what is going on with the MVP over there? What's your take?
Here's the problem. Right, if I think about it already, I'm starting to get a bit nervous now, Monte, because you notice the MVPs you've listed, like Svenskeren won, Spica won, like Blabber's won. There's a lot of fucking junglers winning the MVP. Right? And I will say this, I have always thought in League, I always thought this is a general trend, but it's actually particularly watching the ERLs in Europe and then watching people go to LEC. Dude, jungle is the most misleading role if you're on the best team, in my opinion. As in, the jungler on the best team, it's not even that, it doesn't mean you're not good. I think everything gets boosted through the roof. Like, it's the reason why, like, Inspired looked so insane on Rogue. He had, like, 3 winning lanes all the time, and he's fucking farming. Like, what do you expect? Yeah, he's going to be up in CS. He's going to be, like, knowing the path of the other guy. He's not even trying to gank half the time. Like, yeah, there's a million metrics that you can sort of trick, I think, for a League in that sense. So the problem is, I do think it was a legit actual MVP pick. Like, if you look at the time in the regular split, remember, the award's only for regular season. In the regular split, TSM was the #1 ranked team, and then when you looked at all the players, Spica was the only real one you could say was, like, the best at his role, right? So in my opinion, they just sort of inferred it. And then you look, who else were you going to pick, right? Like 100 Thieves sort of were like up and down. EG sort of fell off. Like C9 and TL were fucking around with the rosters. So I think that was one where it's like, here's the thing. I do think if I had a gun against my head, I probably would say Speaker was the MVP. Like I said, if I just work through the logic. Put it this way, I don't think it was an example where it was like there's times when like Bjergsen or Doublelift one where like they were like far and away the best player in the league or like an incredible, like you could just see the eye test was like he has to be the MVP. I don't know that it was like that. I do think though, if I had to answer the question, it's probably #1. It's probably that it's just incompetence with how they GM'd the squad. Because here's what I don't get, right? Over in Europe, people might know, I've sort of been calling the death of Fnatic, and actually it turns out I've been presumptuous. Like I thought they were going to die out when they went to the Nemesis self-made one, because I knew there was going to be roster like fucking complications there. Then I thought when they lost those players and they had to do the team with Whip or roll swap, I thought, oh, is this the end? Like, mate, if you roll swap it instead of getting a real player, like maybe it's the end. But somehow they've obviously in this last offseason done an amazing job with GM and they've got like the best team on paper. So whereas actually I've been waiting for Fnatic to die out, dude, this looks like TSM is dead. It looks like the org is dead in League of Legends, because I refuse to believe, mate, that these were the best players you could get this offseason. I don't even buy this whole angle they have of like they scouted these players. There are better players that they could have scouted even. Like this just doesn't make sense. Like this almost looks like someone at the 11th hour put this roster together and they just got whoever was available. Like it doesn't make sense on either level, Monty. It doesn't make sense in terms of money. They could easily offer the money to get really good talents that are like up and coming talents in Europe, in China, in Korea.
Or they can just get Jensen.
Of course. Yeah, they could also get established players that are available now to this day that would join potentially tomorrow. Like, something's weird about this whole thing. I even thought that was the weirdest part about what you've just referenced there with Jensen, is as soon as, this is where Reginald isn't smart, is the second Bjergsen tells me, I'm leaving, and by the way, I'm going to Team Liquid, that's where I go, so if I was to announce Jensen instead, then I get like the whole narrative that we got Team Liquid's old mid laner. By the way, spoiler, Jensen would be better right now than Bjergsen. I don't know if people have been watching those fucking games. Bjergsen isn't tearing it up right now as a mid laner. Dude, it would be an way to immediately sort of like check the move, as it were, in the chess sense. It's like, right, you do your move, Bjergsen's Team Liquid, I'll take Jensen in the TSM then. But they didn't do any of that. And that's why, to me, it has to be a GM failure, dude. Because there's no upside to this team. Like, you can't go with the angle of either these are like the hot new prospects that everyone was after, or these are big names, or this is like a big name. It's nothing. Aside from the idea that someone knows so much about like second and third tier Chinese League of Legends that they secretly found the next talents, which essentially all you're doing there, by the way, is a bad Chinese knockoff of what LS has just done for Cloud9, you idiots. You've actually just like thematically fit the region, but not in terms of like a good story. Because there is no good story to this team. You know what I mean? Like, at least sell me what the vision of the team was. Because there's another thing. They also, because Reginald's is the 1 year he hasn't been front facing because of all the shit he's going through, they also have done a terrible job in that sense. Like, think about it, right? If something happens in Cloud9, Jack or Steve Arnett are going to appear on camera at some point explaining their version of the reasons as to why they did it. We don't actually get any info about this TSM team. That's probably the most frustrating part. I can't tell. Are they just here's what I need to tell. I'll flip it back to you, Monty. My vibe goes like this. Did TSM actually choose these players? So I'll give you an example. Based on all the info I have, it's actually true that G2 could have had a way better AD carry than they have now, but they purposely wanted the Targ Armors guy, and they thought that this particular bot lane was so worth it. They even said to me, essentially, we're willing to gamble the idea people will think this was the best person we could get because we think it's sort of like the sleeper OP, like it'll work out, it's the better move. Do you think they genuinely thought these were the best players? Or do you think, this is what it sounds crazy to say, but do you think no one wants to join TSM anymore? I get the vibe, like the second part's not as crazy as it once would have sounded,
So I think that Lena in some Twitch chats revealed that she wanted to like bring Jensen and Doublelift onto the roster, and that vision appears, although Parth hasn't said it, that vision appears to have been signed off on by Parth as well. So I think that was the roster that they wanted. Now, from what I understand from my information behind the scenes, because what Lena said was it was true that what was true is that Reggie didn't think that there was the value there in spending that much money. Now, from what I have heard from other sources,
same guy who just paid that massive bag to Sword Art last year.
So
I love this guy. Such a moron.
It is hilarious. It is hilarious.
Go on.
But I mean, to be fair, maybe he learned from his mistake. That's
Listen, I'm definitely not going to give him that concession, Monty. I have to see that proven before I believe that. But okay, fair enough.
So anyway, I have heard behind the scenes that from other people that TSM did not want to spend a lot of money this year, and I heard that while this was happening, like late last year, basically. Because they didn't see the value. And remember that this all comes from the fact that the FTX deal, they can't call themselves TSM FTX in LCS. They have to just call themselves TSM. Even though FTX sponsors the league, Riot will not allow naming rights for crypto, even though they spam FTX. Whole thing is just fucking weird, frankly. Like, either don't allow crypto or do, just pick one. So anyway, they can't do that. So because the value of the FTX deal is not in League of Legends because of the restrictions placed on the sponsorship, what you guys will not know is the following information, which is that many of these crypto exchanges, when they have been talking to teams, okay, and I know this from my conversations with team owners, have directly said that they want rosters in Valve games, whether that's Counter-Strike or Dota, as a condition of crypto exchange sponsorship, because there are no restrictions on the kind of marketing that they can do in those Valve games.
By the way, that actually checks out as well, because even though it didn't actually end up happening with the Brazilian Last Dance one that I told you about before, it has been rumored that maybe TSM comes back in a CSGO for a while now. So I wonder if that's actually like...
And guess where they just came back, Thorin?
Similar rumour that Ryan might come back in. Yeah, I mean, these would all make sense then. Yeah.
Yep, TSM picked up a Dota roster relatively recently, which is, another indication. So I think that part of it is that the value of the crypto sponsorship, as much as it is, again, we've been over this before, part of this is definitely because of TSM's advertising capacity on their websites, but part of this is also that they have been picking up new rosters. I imagine they will pick up a Counter-Strike roster at some point in time. I think why they picked up a Dota roster first is because the Counter-Strike fan base doesn't like TSM very much.
True.
Because of what they did to the Astralis roster before they were Astralis. So I think the CS...
And even the PEA shit, if you remember, that kind of like left people...
Yeah.
They sided with the players on that one. Yeah.
So I think many people in the Counter-Strike world have a sour taste in their mouth about
Yes.
TSM, but it's probably, it's like 5 years past that right now. So probably
If you
people
had a really good
not
team,
really
they'd forget
care
it. They'd
anymore.
forgive you if the team was good enough, put it that way.
Yeah. Anyway, so this is all to say that I think there are reasons why they wouldn't want to spend money in League of Legends based on this deal, which are legitimate reasons. And so, I had heard that before, but also there were a bunch of kind of like up and coming Chinese players that were tied to this. We know that they did these tryouts in the boot camp. So they legitimately believed that these were the best players that they could get in terms of bang for buck. I think if they wanted some larger name Chinese players, it may have been difficult to convince them to come over based on the roster that they have, because when you look at the pieces they had, I mean, the pieces were Spica and Huni. I mean, that's not a honeypot, like nobody's really, Spica's good, but it's not like, oh, I get to play with Core JJ, right?
The problem if you don't get
level of attraction.
This is where, Monte, your now infamous statement that you can't always take at face value what Koreans, but I'd extend it and say Asian professional League of Legends players say, because they actively pander to the Western audience. So I'm sorry to inform people, but in the modern day, especially, by the way, in the modern day, with no Doublelift, there's no motherfucking pro player from LCK or LPL who gives a flying fuck about LCS. They're not watching it. If they even did, by the way, best case scenario, they're watching when like Cloud9 plays Team Liquid. That's it. Yep. They're not watching. Like, basically, the joke would be any new school person won't even know who Huni is. Remember, dude, he hasn't been at Worlds in ages. And then if they're not new school, forget about that. Like, no one knows who the fuck Speak is. Like, to them, he's the guy who went 0-6 at Worlds. That's it. They don't know him beyond that, mate. They don't know him from Adam. They don't know, oh, you mean the MVP of last? They wouldn't know that, mate. They wouldn't know that in a million years. So I agree. Unfortunately, there's no name power, a star power to draw you over. There isn't. Like, as you say, you've got to almost use, like, the difference is, the reason Core JJ is a mega one, it's because they know he won Worlds. He won Worlds, for fuck's sake, and he's been back to like every World since. So I'm with you, mate. The problem they have is, it's like I've been talking about, there is currently no reason left to join TSM. They won't pay you the most. They don't have any big names left. I'm sorry, Spigot is not a big name. Huni is not a big name anymore. We're talking Doublelift Jensen, like big name level. And then thirdly, there's not even like the whole angle of like, oh, but I'm going to play with like sick you're not playing with famous teammates for loads of money or with really good up and coming teammates. Like, at the moment, like, all trust is lost in this institution. It's why I really wonder, like, I'm glad you gave that info there, because I know there are some competent people within TSM, or at least there were in the past. So that's why I didn't understand how they got this roster in the end. I thought even they'd trip over and get some decent players, mate. Like, obviously, there was a whole story, if people remember, where they were supposed to have fucking Mickey X, and I heard they were going to get both the big, like, they were going to get Niski as well. Like, obviously, these were guys who were, funny enough, Niski's still available right now, fuck's sake, but he's just appearing on core streams. So they could have had a way better roster than this. Almost every roster I've heard that they were going to put together was better than this.
I mean, the thing is, they can still make a pivot, right? It's not like
Jensen
isn't available. Yeah. It's not like Niski isn't available. The fact that Mickey X went unsigned as long as he did was kind of crazy in and of itself. But I think that the turnover this org has had, they're bringing in new people to operate these teams. It seems like they're bringing people who are remote on site now. It seems like, people are leaving. Two of the most important people, which were Lena and Parth to the League of Legends team, have left very recently. So, and Reggie, I would imagine, as we've talked about on earlier shows, over the course of this investigation, considering that the Players Association itself is involved, one of the preconditions of the independent Riot investigation has to be that he cannot communicate with the League of Legends team. He has to recuse himself. Now, I don't know that for sure, but I can't imagine a world where that's not true.
Certainly seems suspicious that he hasn't said anything.
Yeah.
But he's not really the sort of guy who can handle it. He can't restrain himself normally. You can't. I'll say this as well, by the way. The joke is this. Look, if I wanted like the prestige value, the narrative, like I said, even a great player who's still good at Worlds, I would have signed Jensen personally. But even if you didn't, Monte, right, this is where I really wonder about the vision of TSM. Because I actually don't think, sadly, that TSM truly ever got the idea that like we're playing the villain part in wrestling here. We're supposed to say fuck everyone. I think they just were a bunch of douchebags led by a cunt who just was so obnoxious. You guys then just went, no, he's actually a genius. And this is like 5D Jenga, and he tried to make me mad. So he didn't. Reginald wishes he was loved, you morons. He's just really bad at it because guess what? He's a fucking idiot who's not a great guy. So here's what I would have done. Personally, if you want the thematic, like this guy has to join if you give him the offer, and more importantly, he would just fit your current team perfectly. It's Jizuke, mate. The guy already is quite well loved, plays a really entertaining style, win or lose, and he trash talks already. He's tailor-made to be the villain, for fuck's sake. I would bring Jizuke in. That's the signing I would do, dude. Like that transforms this into like must watch League of Legends tomorrow.
I have to say the combo of Huni and Jizuke on the same
hilarious,
team,
wouldn't it?
The level of coin flip would be so insane that I would probably be entertained watching.
It'd be entertaining as fuck. What are you talking about? Exactly. And by the way,
is a hell of a combo.
If we have Huni and Jizuke, the bot lane can just chill now, mate. They don't need to worry about anything. Like at this point in time, you're just on like fucking prey gorilla status or something. Like, just chill, homie. Just chill. Get to that team fight with one item. That's all I ask. You know.
It would be hilarious to have those two players on one roster together. That would be great. I mean, way, what's funny is that they were on the same team. They just didn't play together.
I will also say, like, here's the other question before we wrap this up, because we'll go to the Nymera one soon. But here's what I'll ask is this, right? From the first games you've watched, Monte, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but I watched a bunch of these games when I saw, especially when I saw how much TSM was losing by, and how bad some of the fucking drafts were. And I watched, because I didn't want to like have false hope. Like if I actually watched the games, Monte, and then the eye test was like, actually these are close losses, and you know, if they just drafted a different champion there, they would have won. Then it'd be like, they'll probably turn it around. You know, remember LCS is mad forgiving, so it's like they could probably make the last playoff spot. Dude, after watching some of these games, it ain't going to even end, guys. Like the pain is going to continue. This team is no joke. If they're not literally the last place team, they're going to be second to last place at the end of the split. Like I don't see how this turns around. It looks really depressing.
The funny thing, Thorin, is a point Dom made on our show, The Jungle, was an accurate one, which is that the way they were winning or attempting to win, the one game they won was due to them playing like Enchanter top, like cheese meta, basically. And if they're practicing that, that's going to go away soon. It's not going to be possible to play that anymore. So basically, they were all inning last week on these strategies that are going away. So they're not even learning how to play the real game properly. So it's only going to make them lose worse in the long run, which is true.
Yeah, indeed. And then also, I'll add that in as well. The one part people never mention as well as this part, Monte, is like, I still don't. This is so weird to me, dude. Why did they sign Choi as their coach? Have I missed something? I feel like I just woke up and it's like people just. I mean, like a fucking. This is like one of the bad David Lynch movies, Monte, where stuff just happens and you're like, I don't really understand why that. What's going on right now? Who is that character? Like, this is like fucking Inland Empire or something. Why is he the coach of TSM? Have I missed something? If people don't know, the storyline of Choi is a really interesting story. If you're like a G-Bay guy making a documentary about like the beginning of League of Legends 7 years ago, like how's it even relevant now? Like what is this signing? Like am I missing something? Normally the coach is like the focal point, like the lightning rod for the credit, abuse, criticism. Like no one even mentions him, dude. It's like I had to look it up to remember he was even the coach of the team. Like what's going on? Have the lunatics taken over the asylum? What's going on, Reginald?
So I think this is like the whole construction of this roster is just like the scuffed, you know, we have X at home meme because, you know, Chawi's like, oh yeah, he's part of that, you know, legacy of Southeast Asian players. He's been coaching the Hong Kong attitude, right? And he's like, he speaks Chinese. He can talk to all these other like Southeast Asian coaches that are running some of the best teams in the world. He's part of like, I mean, he's Singaporean, I believe, but you know, he can talk with like the Taiwanese gang that secretly, you know, the Taiwanese Illuminati that runs all the best teams in the world. But it's like he's not that. He was never part of.
You mean you think the meme is like, you know, like it's like Reginald again. Reginald in this scenario is the boomer industrialist who just sits in the boardroom and he goes, "Oh, I've heard about this LMS Illuminati Monte who are running the coaching game. I want that." And then they were like, "Oh, we've got it at home, sir." It's like, "Oh, excellent."
Yes,
and then it turns out, "Oh, he's got Choi. What the fuck?" And it's like they've even scoffed that he's not even Taiwanese. Like, yeah, they've scoffed everything. There you go.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, and it's like the same thing. It's like, you know, can we get an LPL star? It's like we have a Chinese star at home, and it's like fucking Kea Duo or something. It's the same shit. It's like the whole roster was like based on this idea of what should happen, but they just ended up with like the mega scuffed version of that thing. I don't know.
Want to see more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, be a pleb and don't.